passengers of the space cruiser Empress. We regret to inform you that the ship has suffered a minor collision whilst coming out of hyperspace, but this is no cause for alarm. Our engineers are working on the problem, and your scheduled flight should recommence as soon as possible. Also, it has been brought to our attention that some passengers have reported hearing unfamiliar sounds from the lower decks. This is due to the unfortunate escape of some alien specimens that occurred during the crash, but we would like to reassure you that the creatures are completely harmless and there is absolutely nothing to... What? No! Keep away! My arms! My legs! My everything! Ah!
Hello, Time Ram. That's what this is. Not Time Sheep, not Time Cow, not Time Giraffe. Time Ram. It's a Doctor Who podcast.
Hang on.
What?
I'd rather be part of Time Giraffe, I think. Time Giraffe sounds amazing.
Time Giraffe.
Time Giraffe.
Time Giraffe. It's like extending its neck across history. No, it doesn't work. Sorry.
No.
That's the spin-off, Time Giraffe.
Time Giraffe, yeah, it's like Torchwood, but not at all.
That's the comment show. That's the show where we get together and we talk about Time Ram.
Time Giraffe, nice.
Time Giraffe, yeah.
Oh, we get meta.
Yeah.
We get really meta about ourselves.
Yeah. So that was a rubbish episode. What were we thinking?
We've never sat around and talked about ourselves at all, have we? Yeah.
Yes. No.
Time Giraffe.
Yes.
Hello, Paul. Carry on, Paul. You're doing superbly.
Yeah.
Shall I start again? Or
No, soldier on. Soldier on.
Oh, yeah. Time Giraffe
Push on
is
through.
not the name of this podcast. Yes, anyway, Time Ram.
Sorry.
Yes.
That was a great sigh. That was heartfelt. That was time felt.
Yes. Time felt. That's our other spin-off.
That's the YouTube channel where we put together felt creatures.
Oh, that's
talking about Time Giraffe.
That's the AMSR bit, isn't it? Where we all just like feel felt and call it time.
SMR.
People ASMR, I think.
Oh, ASMR.
People make sounds on the internet, and other people listen to them.
And that's what this podcast is
That's
about.
what we're doing.
Well, yes, indeed. But they're not interesting sounds. Maybe these aren't either.
Yes, Time Ram. We make sounds on the internet, and there are sounds about Doctor Who. And
Well, we'll
basically,
get there, yeah.
yeah. Well, we eventually get round to it. And what we do is we choose randomly one of the Doctors from the television Doctor Who's, just the main ones, not like Trevor Martin or Peter Cushing or anybody like that.
Oh, yeah.
And
Well,
how would we do? I don't even know what Trevor Martin's like.
Look, when we finish the nearly 1,000 Doctor Who stories.
Yeah, we can start casting David Banks in all of them. Yeah. Okay.
David Banks.
We choose a Doctor, and then we randomly choose a story from the number which I did have written down, but I can't find it. Is it 258 or something?
298.
298.
We're nearly at 300 stories. That's how I remember it. So
Yay! 298 stories, and we ram them together to see if it works. And sometimes it does work, sometimes it doesn't work. Like this introduction, sometimes they work, sometimes they don't work.
Right. Sorry. Anyway, yes. Sorry. Time Ram. I'm loving Baz's face. Baz's face is going, how do we edit this?
I've got to edit this at some point.
Oh my God.
You can tell we're getting relaxed doing the podcast as the introductions get more amateurish every time we do them.
Hello, this is the BBC, and you're listening to Time Ram, a Doctor Who podcast starring Mr. Rupert Booth, Mr. Barry Williams, and Mr. Paul Ferry.
Hello.
And it's all about... Oh, shit. Oh, yeah.
Hello.
Yes. Time Ram, the podcast that starts with "oh shit."
Paul Ferry, Barry Williams, Rupert Booth doing a podcast about Doctor Who, and we'll get to it eventually.
And last week we had Matt Smith in The Curse of Peladon. This time, Ram, we've got Matt Smith again in Nightmare of Eden.
So where do we all stand on Nightmare of Eden? I love Nightmare of Eden.
The original.
I love it. Yeah.
Obviously the original. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
You love it? Cool.
I think it's a really good idea. I think it's very seriously let down by the budget.
Paul's that bit older than us, you know. Paul didn't see it at quite the same age that we did. Baz.
That's true. Yeah.
You know,
I was only 9.
That's why his memory's going now. That's why he can't do intros. Bless him.
Yeah.
You know, and we should look after him, and it's fine. It's fine.
It's fine. Yeah.
Care for him.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm too old to get conscripted into the army, so.
So am I. It's fantastic. Baz isn't. Hey.
Only for like a month, but yeah.
Anything can happen in the next month.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
The time could come when Paul and I are sitting over a drink. Well, I'll be drinking and he won't. Going, oh, remember Baz? Remember that pointless ball he got off and got shot in? It was really bad.
Sad.
Anyway, let's talk about lighter subjects like drug smuggling.
You've actually segued back to the subject, which
I have.
Yes.
I have. I've done streaming. You know,
I believe to be a first. Yeah.
Streaming.
Streaming.
Yeah.
God. Thank God we're not streaming this. We'd never get to the point.
Oh, please be quiet.
So, Nightmare of Eden, I do remember watching this at age 7.
Yes.
And I was terrified by the mandrels. It really,
me too.
Really scared me. Yeah.
Well, actually, if I may interject, I wasn't terrified. The last time I was terrified by Doctor Who ever as a kid was Kerensky turned into a skeleton.
Oh, yeah.
Sometime in Nightmare of Eden, I was fine with it. I got past it. It's that month older or so.
Yeah.
You know, I just had more understanding.
I remember Scaroth taking his face off. That scared me the most from that one. Yeah.
Terrifying. Well, that was the second last thing that scared me.
Yeah.
Scaroth took his face off, and then 2 weeks later, Scaroth turned a guy into a skeleton.
As you can see, season 17, people kind of think of it as being rubbish, and it kind of hasn't got sort of classic monsters in and what have you. But when I was a kid, I remember distinctly drawing pictures of Scaroth and mandrels and Nymon even.
Yeah. Same here.
They didn't seem like sort of Z-grade monsters when I was 9.
Yeah.
Last week, I showed Horns and Nymon to a friend of mine who is younger than we are.
Yeah.
And she immediately went, I fucking love Nymon. And I went, hang on, they're basically body stockings with a head on top. And she went, I don't care, I get what they are, and they've got really great voices. And I thought,
reviewing it again, I thought, Nightmare of Eden, it's got a really good script to it.
It is, yeah.
Interesting, Bob Baker and Dave Meyer, and this is the team that a year earlier gave us the Armageddon Factor. And now here's Bob Baker on his own. I think one of the best scripts he did.
Yeah.
Watching it, I had to wonder just how much of this is Douglas Adams.
Well, Bob Baker didn't do badly as a writer. Everyone always goes on about Douglas Adams as being the greatest Doctor Who writer because of the heights he reached. Bob Baker didn't do badly, did he?
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Wallace and Gromit.
Yeah.
Wallace and Gromit is, I'd say, as big a thing as Hitchhikers. Possibly more so nowadays. So actually, Bob Baker, little Bob Baker, maybe he's the king.
Maybe.
Yeah. I think there's less Douglas Adams involvement as the series goes on. I know they weren't filmed in that order. I know Creature from the Pit was first, wasn't it? So, but I think Creature from the Pit and Destiny of the Daleks and City of Death have got Douglas Adams all over them.
Yeah.
But the last two, I think by then he kind of was losing interest and just he's got his Hitchhiker's commission in.
It was knackered.
Yeah.
He's writing Sharda.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
It wasn't the last two as planned.
Yeah.
Sharda was the big finale of the Graham Williams era, which we haven't got. So what we have is two kind of filler stories.
Yeah.
To end that season. I really, really love season 17. It is nostalgia, certainly, but they're quite tight stories. The scripts, as Baz said, I think the scripts are good.
Yeah.
Even 9-1.
Yeah.
It's a good script. It's not the scriptwriter's fault that 9-1 and Nightmare of Eden are made on Nout.
Yeah.
And it shows. Yeah.
And it shows, and it really shows. Yeah.
So if we're imagining Matt Smith, I mean, obviously it's gonna look substantially better. What crew are we using though? I was going to put a vote in for Amy and Rory simply because that gets the numbers right.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's a first. It's a time round first.
It's going to be tricky to fit Rory into some of K9's bits, but
that might be interesting. But I feel like we're up to the task.
That's the best sentence ever in a Doctor Who podcast. It's going to be tricky to fit Rory into some of K9's bits. And the fact that the Mandrels are kind of walking drugs, blimey. That's, this was 1979. We were watching it as kids. 3 or 4 years later, 5 years later, Grange Hill was saying, just say no. We saw it in Doctor Who.
Yeah.
We saw the Doctor condemning the use of drugs. I didn't know what drugs were.
Yeah.
I knew it was bad, though. So that worked. Like Tom can talk. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose that is the question about whether they'd even tackle heroin addiction in the Matt Smith era. It's actually probably more difficult to talk about now than it was then, I think.
Go ahead, time round.
The story opens with an FX shot. We've got the spaceship as a liner called the Empress. Mm-hmm. It's coming out of warp over the planet Azure and is involved in a collision with a smaller spaceship called the Hecate.
It is.
Which obviously...
Hecate. Sorry, I just had a key and I look up anymore.
That's all of us.
Yeah. Eventually, yeah. You get to Paul's age. That's what...
yeah. What, in a couple of years' time then?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm going to be sitting here in London going...
They've had a kind of time ram, haven't they? They've kind of come out of hyperspace and,
they have.
And time rammed into each other.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to talk about it a little bit because obviously it's a very, very shonky CSO video effect.
Yeah.
Which, in whenever Matt Smith died, 2010, it's going to be significantly more effective, I think.
So if I can do my design talk here.
Go for it.
This is the story where they decided to do miniatures on video in the studio in the last 20 minutes of recording time with light blasting on them. And, in those days, you could not shoot miniatures on video because they look shit. They look like models. Give it some depth of field, give it some film, give it some experience from the film world, and you get great model shots. But, and Colin Mapson, who was the effects designer on this, registered a protest largely going, no, this looks shite.
As you would.
And it does.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. Nice models. Shame about the cameras.
Yeah, I mean, in 2010, it's going to open with a CG effect sequence, which
it's going to be much better.
Probably quite exciting. Explosions, shit happening.
So, Baz, you haven't seen the Blu-ray version, I assume.
No.
I have.
Yes, I really liked it. It kept exactly the feel of the thing while making the models rather nicer.
Yeah.
Yeah, those updated special effects, I kind of don't mind dipping into them, but I find that I really can't watch the whole serials with the new effects on because I just keep thinking, oh, that's different. That's put in. It's the same as when they did the special editions of Star Wars. I just couldn't actually get into the film for thinking, oh, that bit's new. Oh, that bit's new. It's really annoying.
Funny with Star Wars, I mean, that new version is really dated, isn't it? But the bit where he's walking around the CG, what's the name?
Jabba the Hutt.
Jabba the Hutt, and you can tell they've kind of had to move him in post, and it just looks terrible.
Horrible.
Yeah.
And 2 weeks ago, I watched the version I have of Star Wars on my hard drive, and I swear that version is like a documentary compared to the remastered version. There's no CG at all. It's lovely.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're not really getting on with Nightmare Eden, are we?
Yeah, we should crack on. Yes. As I seem to say all the time. So we cut to the bridge of the Empress where we see the Captain Rig, and his navigation officer is called Seka.
Helen Mirren.
Helen Mirren as Secca. Really?
No, Captain Rig.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously.
Helen Mirren as okay. Yeah.
Can she not be Secca then? Her first name could be Kathy.
I was going to suggest Helen Mirren for Tryst, but you've immediately gazumped me.
I've mirrored you. Sorry.
Yeah.
I apologise for my Kathy Secca reference, which nobody outside the Northeast in the
I get it.
1970s will actually get.
I get it. Yeah.
Anyway, these two ships, they collide while in warp, and they end up merged with one another. So one of the other ships now grafted across each other. So the other ships now are passing across corridors. People in the Empress can't get to B deck, and it's a bit of a shit fest.
So Matt Smith is bursting out of the TARDIS and going straight into this. So, seeing a thing, seeing a one of those void areas and going bonkers about it.
Yeah.
And Amy's going, wow, this is amazing. And Rory's going, oh, I don't like it much. And he's right.
Yeah.
I think probably the Doctor and Amy go off to the bridge and Rory's left there and like claws come out of the horror of the void. It's, we're going to get the mandrels earlier. I don't know what they look like though.
Yeah.
Better.
Actually, Rory would be quite useful in this. He's frequently kind of sidelined, but he's a doctor.
Yeah.
So or a nurse, isn't he?
He's a nurse.
So he could tend to people who've been injured and stuff, and he would also probably recognise the symptoms of somebody being a drug addict.
Oh,
yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Because they never really use his medical training much.
No, not really. No.
I mean, it's quite a dense script. So are we thinking that maybe they do this maybe as a two-parter? We'll be looking at 2 45-minute episodes.
Yeah.
Let's hope so.
Yeah. We're in trouble. Yeah. We should probably mention that the second in command, Secca, is acting a bit weird, laughing and unconcerned. In the meantime, the captain of the other ship comes across, Dimmond, which again, he just comes in through a door and you're left to assume that he's come from the other ship. But I'm sure we'd have a lot more CG effect sequences of him coming across.
Very silver.
Yes.
Very silver.
He's very silver. He's very. This is 1979.
Yeah.
He's got a green bulbous helmet going on, and he's very silver. Please, the internet, don't misrepresent great brothers.
No, don't be like that. Oh, stop messing about.
The Doctor and Amy, I'm guessing, head up to the bridge where they meet Rig and Dimmond and Secca. In the original, Romana's quite knowledgeable.
Yep.
And she's the one that comes up with a plan to separate the ships, which is quite nice.
Amy's just flanging after the Doctor.
Yeah.
Because that's all she does. That seems to be her character, just flanging after the Doctor.
Or Rory. She's then, the Rory.
Or Rory.
Yeah.
But yeah, basically she seems to be a kind of mobile lady gardener. I'm not wild on Amy.
No.
All the criticisms online aimed at Moffat women. Amy, don't like her much.
Yeah,
sorry.
Kind of rings true a little bit. Yeah.
I don't think it's Karen Gillan's fault though. I think
it partly is. She plays up to it, and that was the job. That was the job. But Amy has always seemed to me like this complete sex spot, and that's her job. So in Space and Time, the whole thing happens because Rory's staring up, staring up.
So the Doctor's taken to see the power unit by Secca, but he's just acting increasingly weird. And the Doctor sees him kind of getting his stash. He's got a little stash. Probably should mention the Doctor's already explained to Rig that he's there from Galactic Insurance, which I'm sure he'd be getting out his psychic paper and going, Galactic Insurance, that's me.
Yep. Which is a shame because it's nice that Rig checks up later and goes, no, you're not.
I like the way Rig checks up on him.
Yeah.
And calls him out on it.
It gives Rig authority. Rig is a captain.
I like Rig. I like Rig a lot as a character.
I like Rig. Yeah. And if you're doing psychic paper, he's never going to do that, which takes away from Rig.
Yeah. Well, he might, but yeah.
Potentially.
Yeah. We haven't really talked about casting, have we? So we got Rig, we got Secca, we got Dimmond.
Well, we've got Helen Mirren as Rig.
Helen Mirren as Rig.
We've agreed on that.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Every single episode from now on, Helen Mirren. Even if she's third child in the Cave of Skulls, Helen Mirren.
Dimmond for a kind of important character is quite a cipher the way he comes across, isn't he? He's not a greatly well developed character.
He's a plot
not well
function. He's a plot function.
So in the original, K9 identifies that this drug that Seca's accessing is Fraxoie. Fraxoie. Yeah, sort of thinly disguised version of heroin.
Which, as a kid, I always heard as Fraxoie. Fraxoie. And so for years and years and years, it was kind of Fraxoie. Oh, no, they were taking Fraxoie. Don't know what Fraxoie is, but it was bad. And then I remember reading, I imagine, Doctor Who magazine, and it said Fraxoine. And I was thinking, what the hell is Fraxoine? That makes no sense. Oh, Fraxoie is Fraxoie.
It's a bit like with those lyrics of songs that we misheard for years.
It is.
You discover later, you would know.
But, you know, at the end of the day, to me, it's still about Fraxoie.
This is the Doctor. Present time, the High Council of Time Keeper of the legacy of Rassilon. Defender of the laws of time. Protector of Gallifrey.
I think the Doctor's confounded with trying to reach the power room because the other spaceship is across the entrance.
Yeah.
And we get some
Slicey, yeah.
We get some sort of fairly shonky video effects of this thing going across the corridor.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a video effect and sometimes it's a bit of dry ice.
Shonky, but quite impressive for the time.
Good for the time. They wouldn't have done it in 2010, I don't think.
No,
It
it'd be all CG.
Yeah.
And probably less imaginative.
They're a bit confounded for a while. So a lot of episode 1 is kind of finding out about Tryst. I think Romana meets him first. And he shows his device, his continuous event transmuter.
Well,
yeah.
Is Romana impressed?
Not
She's
really.
appalled.
She's not actually. No, she is appalled. Yeah.
It becomes clear she knows more about it than he does. Yeah. It's quite nice actually watching Lana Ward. You can tell she's doing quite a subtle impression of Tom Baker. Pretty much throughout. It's very clever. But Tryst is a zoologist. He's identifying endangered species across the galaxy and recording them in his CET. Who's playing Tryst?
I'm thinking a comedian. I'm thinking like one of the League of Gentlemen or David Walliams or somebody. I think they would get somebody funny in for it.
Yeah.
Even though he's ostensibly a villain at the end.
Yeah.
I think they would get somebody funny in.
I guess Berkoff.
Not fucking Berkoff.
Yeah, quite.
Didn't we have Berkoff in last week? like they're going to get Berkoff more than once.
Indeed, yeah.
Yeah, I think it would be like it could even be Gatiss. It could be Mark Gatiss.
Yeah, it could.
Yeah,
it could.
well be.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that. Let's go with that. Yeah.
Yeah, Mark Gatiss. Yeah.
Mark Gatiss.
It'd be equally likely to do a daft accent. Yeah.
Yes.
Flora and the fauna.
He'd have the little. Oh yeah, I can see him with the little glasses on. The little.
Totally.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah. The Doctor comes down and meets Tryst. Tryst has been traveling around the galaxy on his own ship, the Volante, with his crew, picking up these species. They don't really go into a lot of depth about it, but we know that one of the crew disappeared or died during the trip.
I think the CET machine would have an entirely different resonance now. It would be like the internet. It would be, there'd be a message there about everything you do is recorded and collated and collected and stored. In 1979, the concept of storing that amount of data was insane.
Yeah.
But now there are companies that store the entire internet.
Yeah.
God.
So
imagine the amount of porn on it.
Indeed. Imagine the amount of porn. Now, well, look at Tryst. Look at Tryst's crystals. Oh dear.
That's a lot of porn.
So Tryst is always going, I want to raise funding for my expedition. Oh my shit, Tryst. Seriously? You could, yeah.
I want to go back to the Nympho planet.
Yeah.
It's very interesting.
We can't buy Sam.
The flora and the fauna. Yeah. So basically, let's invent CT porn. Because that's what would happen. That is what would happen.
Watch, here's the shocking.
And we're talking about a Moffat story.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, God, yeah.
It's CT porn. The first thing Matt Smith goes is when he's looking at the machine is going, just wipe your history.
Yeah.
Right? Because Moffat's always doing that gag.
Yeah.
To the point where it's worrying.
Yes.
So it's about the internet.
I quite like the way they do it, where they have all these different scenes come up on it, and then for the rest of the show, it's actually they can just step through to the next set. But it's quite effective. But they just got that boundary around it. But it looks great when they finally jump through it, which they do at the end of the episode. So
it does.
Yeah, that stayed with me from when I was 7.
Me too. Me too. It's a great end for an episode.
Yeah.
Again, script. It's really good script.
Yeah.
Actually, it's a really good script, and I think would hold up massively better in the Matt Smith era production values.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We're not paying much attention to that, are we?
It would look much better. The sets would be better. The effects would be better.
Yeah.
In some cases, the casting would be better. Yeah.
So, shall we talk about Louis Fiander?
Yeah.
Well, he's a decent actor. It's like Joseph First in The Underwater Menace.
Yeah.
You see him in other things and go, blimey, you're really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's fantastic in the pilot for Callan.
Yes, he is.
And a Magnum for Schneider. He's fantastic, Joseph First, isn't he?
Ever import from Japan, sir?
Oh, yes, all the time.
What exactly, sir?
Oh, motor bicycles, transistor radios, cameras, and novelties.
Novelties?
Now I understand. You think I import pornographic novelties. No, gentlemen. It's all simple vulgarity for the Christmas trade.
And, Richard Briers, when he was playing it straight, really fucking good, but just totally misjudged Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Didn't take it seriously. This is a problem that season 17 suffers from, people say.
Comedy performances.
Yeah.
But apart from Louis Fiander and Soldeed, the great Graham Crowden, who isn't taking it seriously?
But by that point, I think possibly Tom's not taking it seriously either.
Yeah.
I think there was,
well, the answer is Tom Baker.
Yeah.
That's the thing. They're taking their cue from Tom, and he's not taking it seriously, so they're kind of...
But he is most of the time. We remember my arms, my legs, my everything. That's 5 seconds, followed by go away. It's a funny one. It's a weird one, season 17 for Tom. He is obviously going rocketing over the top and doesn't give a shit. And it's But despite that, is when the story beats needed, absolutely spot on. When in City of Death does he miss a beat?
It's funny because I think...
Sorry.
I was just going to say that, obviously with Time Round, we've split it by Doctor. But you can imagine if this story was made even a year later, under the sort of J&T, Chris Bidmead stewardship, can you imagine how different that would have been? It just would have been totally different kettle of fish.
Mind you, I've always thought that a lot of people say, he's giving a much darker performance and all this. And a lot of the time I watch it and I think, he's just pissed off and wants to go.
He's just angry.
I think you can kind of see that in his performance.
Yeah. Lala won't talk to me and I'm really pissed off.
Yeah. It's a very different feel. Very different feel.
Yeah. I don't think he's being consciously dark.
No, he's consciously drunk.
He's barely conscious. Yeah. Okay, so they go through the CET. They get to see various different planets, including Eden, which is where one of their crew members disappeared. And Romana in the original, perhaps Amy in this one, is kind of looking through it on her own.
This will be Amy.
Yeah.
Rory is absolutely stuck by the TARDIS, sorting out stuff for some reason.
He's got to be helping Bill. Perhaps we'll see a bit more of the passengers. There's been a bit more collateral damage. People stuck through walls, maybe, and he's there helping triage.
Yeah, I think the passenger compartments will probably look a lot better because they're very weak.
Really could not look worse.
Yeah.
I mean, if we did them in the 90s, they could not look worse.
Yeah.
In their pac-a-macs.
Identical silver jumpsuits. Yeah.
So a design thing I've thought recently, or maybe found recently. Gearon.
Gearon?
Gearon. not gear off, gear on
Yeah.
in A Mission to the Unknown,
Yeah.
right? He's
Okay.
wearing one of those suits.
Hmm.
Ah,
So there's a 60s thing brought into living color.
Hmm.
This is why you hang out with me, isn't it? I realize. Yeah, good.
it's fascinating tidbits.
Even his spongy hands. Gearon.
Yeah, this is around the point where Rig is going back to the doctor saying, "You're not from Galactic Insurance," and the doctor just kind of brushes him off, says, "Yeah, whatever." And I love the way Rig just goes, "What?" and just goes on.
Yeah. Well, Tom persuades him with charisma, as Tom had done through the entire season, and you kind of believe it because Tom does it well. So fine, that was one of the glories of Doctor Who in 1979.
I actually think Matt Smith, if they said to him, kind of, "You're not from Galactic Insurance," he'd be going, "I am." No, you're not. I am. And he just kind of keep insisting that he was.
The doctor takes Rig, and they find Seca, who's been injured in the matter interface, mist, as I've written here, and he's basically been attacked by a mandrill.
Have we mentioned Della at all?
Not really, but yeah, Della's there. Della's the Tryst
Nor does
assistant.
the script.
No.
She doesn't get much to do for a little while.
Underserved character. It's terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you saying Della's there just about sums up.
Della's there. I've not written anything down about Della because she doesn't actually do anything. She's just
she's there. She looks quite pretty.
Yeah.
End of story.
That's basically it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
She used stop. She's there to be the person who used stop.
Yeah. Basically that's it. Yeah. So yeah, the episode ends with Amy looking at the CET where Romana gets bitten by a bad video effect. I'm guessing Amy would then actually go to the effort of making some kind of insect.
It would look much better, vastly better, and then spend time on it. It would hover and flutter, and you'd see it.
Meanwhile, the Doctor and Rig are trying to cut their way through the hole, which again looks pretty bad. But can you imagine 2010? I mean, that would be quite a spectacular sequence with it.
Yeah.
Rory is sat there firing a laser out of his nose, cutting the wall out. It's amazing. No one thought Rory could do that.
It's great, yeah.
Yeah.
They don't notice a crack that's in the wall, just sort of a little way behind them. But
Rory never did.
No. We'll come back to Rory. They pull through the hole and then mandrill.
Yeah. Can we make it canon that Rory's got a nose laser? I love that.
The Last Centurion, yeah, why not?
Yeah, he's got a handgun, literally. Can he get? Yeah, great.
He'd just be like blocking one nostril and just like shooting a laser.
Fire! Oh, that's stun, that's kill. Oh, careful. Careful of the left nostril.
So yeah, he uses his other nostril to seal the hole. And
as we've all done.
As we've all done.
No, that makes no sense. That makes no sense at all. Sorry. Hello.
They repair the ship with Rory bogies.
Bogey.
Rig, in the meantime, has come to the conclusion that the Doctor is an agent.
Who is Rig? We haven't cast Rig.
I thought it was Helen Mirren, unless you.
Well, no, we can't use Helen Mirren all the time. I was saying that's a gag.
Okay. I like the idea of it being a woman.
Hmm?
Who can we use?
All really up to date on
it's like I was saying the other week, we're
really
terrible at picking actors for the new series one.
Francis Barber, someone like that, maybe.
We need to get young blood into this.
We do, yeah.
Just
Gonna have to try and find us a kind of 2011 copy of Spotlight or something for the next show.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we imagine a young female Captain Rig. There's going to be some sexual tension with the Doctor. This could be, a different dynamic.
Be young. No, not young. No, older.
Okay. Francis Barber.
So none of that. Francis Barber. Right, Francis Barber. So Francis Barber as Rig.
Yeah. Decides the Doctor's an agent looking for drugs.
Or Jamie Lee Curtis.
Emmy Lee
No,
Curtis.
why not? It's time round. What the
Okay.
fuck? Do what we want.
To be honest, it kind of works though, because she's not like, no disrespect to her, she's not at the pinnacle of her career in 2011 or so, is she, really? So they probably would have been able to get her.
I'm sure she is enormously hurt by that comment.
When she listens to this episode, she's going to be really
she'll
pissed off.
not be happy.
Yeah.
How about Time Ram?
Time Ram? You couldn't do it in that old crock.
Woof. Time Ram. Londoners.
You were slagging somebody off earlier on. I can't remember who it was.
He's seen Berkoff.
Oh, yeah, but anyway.
Well,
Berkoff asked for it.
He did.
He did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Jamie Lee Curtis.
Okay.
So if in Time Round, can we expand it to everyone? Can we like get Clint Eastwood as Sutek or something? Why not?
So yeah, Della, played by Sharon Stone, comes across Romano, who's been stunned.
She?
Not Romano.
Wow,
Amy.
blimey, I watched that.
She comes across Amy, who's been
Fucking
stunned.
hell. Right.
And the doctor comes back and confronts Tryst about how unstable the CET basically is. But he's going to use the TARDIS to separate the ships.
Mhm.
So they're going to got Amy on the TARDIS, ready to press the button. Dimmon's back on his ship. And Rig is going to be flying the Empress.
I think it should be Rory on Dimmon's ship. Dimmon's been incapacitated, or he's dead, or something. actually,
Dimmon has to.
No. Dimmon's dead, because then Rory's going to find the story, isn't he?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Works.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Don't ask me in half an hour to make that work.
Rig's not very well either because his drink's been spiked and he's quite weird. Yeah. She's acting quite weird. Yeah.
Yeah.
To be honest, if it's Frances Barber, it wouldn't be a stretch to believe she's on drugs, really. Would it?
So yeah, they make an attempt to separate the ships.
Yes.
And things go quite weird.
Yeah.
There'll be an opportunity here in 2010 to make things go really weird, I think.
Yeah.
And while they're doing that, Rory crosses into the power room.
With his nose laser.
Well, he just sort of steps across, basically, and he finds himself in the power room.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does. Yeah. Going blimey.
Is he going to die in this episode and come back?
No.
Yes, of course he is. Yes. That's where we'll be heading. You know it. I know it.
Hang on, Rory. So Rory is now on the Volante. Yeah.
Yeah, I've taken that from when K9 crosses over. So do we want someone else to do it?
No, we don't want someone else in this at all.
Well, you killed Dimmond.
I did. Well,
I
replaced Dimmond
with Rory, or already
with
had
Rory
to do.
It's better writing.
So Dimmond crosses over to the power room, or maybe Della does something. Della crosses over into the power room.
Della does
something.
Della does something
by Belinda Messenger or something like that.
Yeah.
It's a spin-off series. Della does something. It's like just every week she's like cleaning a sink or making a cake or something.
That is the most sexist
Della
thing
played
ever.
by former page 3 model Melinda Messenger.
Cleaning a sink or making a cake. You're old, Paul.
They were just things that came to my mind. I wasn't particularly thinking of.
I know.
1950s women's things. 1950s women's things. Oh dear.
1950s women's thing.
Oh, Rory's got into the thingy.
Power unit. Engine room.
Power room.
Engine room.
Yeah. I mean, it would be an engine room because, in this, it's just a room with some bits and some wires. And that's basically it.
Yeah. There's some perspex.
There's some perspex in there. Yeah. So, yeah.
There's a lot of shots in that room. There's a lot of production shots in that room.
Well, like they were proud of it.
They liked it. Yeah. They were proud of it.
Somebody somewhere went, I've done quite a good job here.
Yeah.
We'll have to use that again in Blake 7.
So in the meantime, the doctor spots a passenger who's got a scratched face and he chases him through the ship, quite a lengthy sequence. I think the doctor follows him into the mist which would be an opportunity for some real weirdness. And then Romana finds him, not Romana. It's going to be Amy. Amy finds him.
Amy, yeah.
Comes back and finds him, and they're threatened by a mandrill. But then Stott turns up and shoots it.
Stott. Who is Stott?
Who is Stott? Stephen
Doesn't
Berkoff.
mean the Doctor and his friends any harm.
Stephen Berkoff is Stott.
It's not Stephen Berkoff.
Okay.
It's Patrick McGowan. Obviously, at the age of like 70, whatever. Was he dead by that point? He was dead, wasn't he? Oh, damn.
2011. When did he die?
9. I should really know that. I really should know that.
You really should know that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he was dead by then. Yeah.
I don't. Yeah, he was dead. Who else? Ian McKellen?
Ian McKellen as Stott, Della's young lover.
Bye!
Patrick McNee.
This is a different time. Age
Is he
means
still
nothing.
alive?
Probably not.
Pat Gorman.
Pat Gorman. Is he still alive?
Not now, but he was then.
Martin Freeman. I don't know.
Am I the only one who has Pat Gorman as a kind of superhero figure? So Pat Gorman, he'll be there. Whenever you need him, he'll be there. Pat Gorman, he'll save us. This is why the world's going to shit. Pat Gorman's dead.
That's Dave Bowie, but okay.
No, misinformation, fake news.
Mm-hmm.
You thought it was Bowie.
It was Gorman all along.
Gorman.
Mm-hmm.
Gorman. Come on. Come off.
I'm being extremely clever up here, and there's no one to stand around looking impressed. What's the point in having you all?
So at this point in the story, Rig is increasingly out to lunch.
Yes.
Yeah, basically not very helpful.
Yeah.
She tells Tryst about the drugs that are being transported. Basically, we get the information across that Tryst thinks that Stott was a drug smuggler. Stott was the man who disappeared on Eden originally from their spaceship, the Volante. The Volante.
Volante.
A good name.
Whoa.
Volante.
Whoa.
Club singers. And then Fisk and Costa arrive from Azure.
Oh,
yay.
Christ. Yeah, so they did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A pair of very camp Nazi cops.
Terrible.
Yeah.
With sparkly shoulder pads.
Yeah. Very let
So
down
they're
by the
going
costume
to
department.
be vastly better.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
In this.
They're going to be Jadoon or something, aren't they?
Jadoon. Yeah.
They are.
Yeah. They are. Go, whoa.
Yes.
Yeah. So they're immediately suspicious of the Doctor and Amy and Rory, and they have to run away. The Doctor and Amy have to run away, and then they run through the CET and disappear into the projection of Eden. End of the episode.
Dun, dun, dun.
Which was amazing in that.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah.
Really dangerous. Really running into the terrible thing.
Yeah.
And Dudley Simpson gave it some, and it went. The credits. Yeah.
Great.
And you don't get that now. I regret that Doctor Who isn't serialized anymore.
Yeah, it's a shame.
Because you don't get that frisson, you don't get that kind of, oh shit. Flux was great for that.
Yeah.
You know, we've got an end of episode and oh shit. And then you have to wait till the next one.
Yeah. Which then doesn't resolve it.
Yeah. Okay. Flux was great for that, but yeah.
He does use with a single bound, our hero was free as the resolution for 2 cliffhangers in the 6 episodes of Flux.
All right.
Sorry, we weren't having a go.
When I said Flux,
we enjoyed Flux, but yeah, it was flawed.
We might get more again when RTD comes back. He liked the cliffhangers in his first couple of series.
So anyway, we come back for episode 2 of Nightmare of Eden, which in typical
episode 2.
Episode 2 now. Well,
fucking hell.
No, we've just finished episode 2 of the Tom Baker version.
Oh, yeah.
Episode 3 of the Tom Baker version. Episode 2 of the Matt Smith version. So we're now, see what I did there.
I did.
In typical Moffat style, it's going to be completely different, isn't it? It's going to start somewhere else, be about something completely different.
Yeah.
So now we're making it up.
It'll be on Eden. It's the story of Stott.
Stott,
Yeah.
It's the story of Stott, who is young and sexy,
Mhm.
finding out the mandrills. He kills a mandrill by accident.
Yeah.
And it goes, oh, fucking hell, and decomposes.
Yeah.
Because that's a mandrill talk, by the way.
Oh, fucking hell.
And he goes, Fraxoie. Or, to my child mind, Fraxoie. Yeah, and we're going from there.
Yeah.
I think that will be the big revelation of what Fraxoie is, where it comes from.
Yeah, and then the Doctor and Amy turn up on Eden.
Yeah.
So it's kind of 6 months later. I guess we could do a caption 6 months later.
Yeah.
I have no idea where it differentiates here because the script's really tight.
I was being a little bit facetious, yeah.
Well, so the meat stock then.
We do need Stott. Well, this is the point where Stott comes in because he saves them from a mandrill in the recording of Eden, which is where they are at the moment. And he reveals that it's been there for 183 days.
Well, it's not a recording. It's really Eden, isn't it? It's a piece of Eden.
It's a piece of Eden that's been kind of
transfer complicated.
Yeah. Scooped off the planet and stored. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like the miniscope.
Yeah, I was thinking
exactly like the miniscope. And this is the thing no one ever says about Nightmare of Eden. Basically, it can't have monsters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In terms of concept. And I'm absolutely sure that Bob Baker had no idea about Carnival monsters. You know. But the story is done twice in the 70s. Exactly the same basic theme.
Yeah, Stott reveals that he's basically an agent, he's a spy, and he was looking for someone on the Volante who was smuggling drugs. So we get a bit of explanation now. What's Rory getting up to while this is all going on?
I don't know. He's doing what Tom does in episode 4, isn't he?
Mm-hmm. So he's kind of finding the drug. Well, it's not a drug stash.
He's finding the drugs. You know, he's finding the stash.
Well, no, he finds a CET projector thing, which is how they transport the drugs onto the other ship, isn't it?
Yeah.
He's making the connections.
Right.
And using his medical savvy to go, these are drugs. These are bad.
Yeah.
It's drugs,
like Nathan Spring in Star Cops, where he just like stupidly rubs a bit on his on his lips and then gets zonked out for 24 hours. That always made me laugh in Star Cops because you just think, you're a bloody policeman. What did you do that for?
Yeah. Star Cops is flawed procedural, really, isn't it?
Star Cops, I believe, suffers massively from Evgeny Gridneff, who's a real person.
Yeah.
He's on Twitter. He's this kind of like late middle-aged man going, oh, I used to be a producer and now I just write poems. All his poems are terrible. And he's on Twitter kind of putting them out there. And it's just, why Evgeny Gridneff? Why?
The Doctor and Amy can now reach the power room where Della is. They now find that mandrills are also free. They're released. They're exploring the ship and attacking passengers and various people.
So the mandrills are going to be really nicely done, aren't they?
Yeah, they're going to be quite scary, probably.
They're going to be a lot better. There's going to be fewer of them, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Would there be costumes or would there be...
There'll be costumes.
Yeah. They might give them a sort of animatronic face thing or maybe one of them, you know. I think you're right. I think there'd be fewer of them. I did consider maybe just one of them, but no, I think it needs to be a couple.
There'd be fewer in terms of what they build. There might be more multiplied by CG.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but mandrills are not going to be... So where do we all stand as men of a certain age on the mandrills? Because they worked for me at the time.
Well, like I say, they scared me. Yeah, I was terrified of mandrills. Yeah.
Right. So can we rehabilitate the mandrills? I know they have flares and so on.
Yeah, take the flares off. Yeah.
But they worked for me.
Yeah. All we are saying is give mandrills a chance.
Absolutely.
That's the exciting thing. Nobody in the universe can do what we're doing.
Wig is at the point where he's laughing at these images of passengers getting killed. He's going to come across him and he kind of goes, what's the matter? They're only economy class. Possibly my favourite moment. So
we'll totally keep that.
Yeah. Yeah, he gets arrested basically. And in the meantime, we kind of become aware that Tryst doesn't really want the Azure authorities to kill the Mandrels. So, there's obviously something going on there. And in the original version, he's conferring with Dimmond. There's quite a lot of conflict sort of running around at this point, I think, between different areas of the CET.
Yeah.
And it's around this point in the story where the Doctor gets attacked by a Mandrel who then hits some wires and turns to Vrax.
Would the Vrax revelation be the end of episode 1 in our version? In the
It means you lose the great cliffhanger of them jumping into the CET.
It does, yeah.
But then I suppose a simple effect shot perhaps isn't quite such a big deal.
No, you're right. No, it's not an effect shot. It's an important moment. Yeah, okay. We'll keep Vrax for later.
You'd be able to use that though in the next week thing where they're being Matt Smith.
Yeah.
You'd just be able to get Matt Smith going, I know where Fraxoie comes from. And then, so you're thinking,
we might do it a different way if we've got that opening scene with Stott seeing, Mandrel collapsing and turn into Vrax.
Yeah.
So you might do a different thing with it. But it's this point where they're trying again to separate the ships. And basically Amy's attacked by Rig. And then Fisk comes in and is definitely going to shoot her if she presses that button.
Yeah.
And she presses that button.
So who Fisk?
Are they not Jadoon?
Oh, they are Jadoon. Yeah.
So they're just like generic.
Yeah.
That makes them a bit less comedic. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a bit harder to give them dialogue though, isn't it?
Yeah. If they got some kind of translatey effort.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Speaking of men in suits, I love the way how the Mandrels in the original. There's one little baby Mandrel. I'm guessing it's Alan Chunt in there. But there's one little one who's about a foot shorter than the rest of them. He's
probably
great.
Stuart Fell.
Stuart Fell. Was he the small guy?
He was quite small.
I was thinking it was Alan Chunt. So no, it was Stuart Fell, wasn't it?
Yeah. Whenever they need someone to double for a woman, it's usually Stuart Fell, wasn't it?
Yeah.
There's one in the photos. There's one really vast, tall Mandrel as well.
That's quite good, though, in a way that they're all different sizes. It makes
it
more believable.
Yeah, it makes a change. So, yes, in the 4-part version, we're into the final episode now. We're on the home stretch.
Yeah.
Yay.
The ships separate. Fisk doesn't shoot Amy, but is knocked unconscious. So she gets to run away.
Well, the Doctor's on the other ship, isn't he? He's on the Volante.
So has he joined Rory?
No, not Volante, the other one.
The Hecate.
Yeah. The Hecate.
Yeah.
So they're reunited.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's good.
That's good. I like that. Yeah. And then they need to get the shuttle back, but there's only oxygen for one of them.
Yeah. So the Doctor does his bit. He closes down, and Rory gets to live.
Yeah.
For a while. Yeah.
For a bit. Yeah. He probably won't die in Time Round.
No. There's not really a mystical element to bring him back, is there?
He'll die in the Time Monster or something like that,
I'm thinking at the end of this one, there's going to be a crack in the wall that just drags him in.
Yeah.
He's gone.
Oh, the crack in the wall.
Yeah. Well, that's how
What
he
do we do
goes
about that?
in that one with the Silurians, isn't it? So that's kind of.
Yeah. But we can't do that, can we? We can't do any arc stories.
It's really, really difficult. Yeah. We have to put cracks into stories that don't have cracks, and then take them out of stories that do.
The only arc stories we can do are the Daleks' Master Plan and the War Games.
Yeah.
We can't do Trial of the Time Lord because it's crazy.
When we've got more of a season, we can go back and insert them, have a retrospective cracks.
Insert the cracks.
Yes.
I never recommend the retrospective crack, to be honest.
Excuse me.
What is it? What do you want?
You're blocking their passage, madam.
It's around this point that Tryst comes out and tells Fisk that it's the Doctor that's been hiding in Vrax in the CET.
Yeah.
Earlier in the story, the Doctor and Rig did a scan of the spaceship, didn't find any trace of drugs, but that's because it's hidden in the CET. It's the perfect way of smuggling drugs.
Clever idea, I thought.
Very clever. Very clever.
Lovely,
There's a lot of clever
lovely.
ideas in this idea.
Bob Baker.
Yeah.
Great writer. Great ideas, man.
Douglas Adams.
Yeah. No, that's just Bob Baker, surely.
Probably.
I think the storyline is Bob Baker entirely.
I
think some of the dialogue is Adams, but the storyline,
The thing that made me wonder about it is because every Dave Martin, Bob Baker story I've watched, they don't put enough plot in. So you got the mutants, which has got like 6 episodes, but enough plot for 3. So there's usually good ideas, but there's not enough plot to hang the story on. And this one's got loads of plot. I mean, it's probably got the most out of any that we've gone through so far.
Thank you, Doctor.
Della's kind of come back. Della's back. She kind of
Della.
rejoins.
Who's playing Della again?
Melinda Messenger, isn't it? That's kind of...
Oh, is it? Oh, right, okay, fine. Right.
She's been off doing things.
We watched her do things for a while, and then she comes back.
Yes, we all did.
She's been off doing Dallas. Della does Dallas.
Yeah.
Della does get some plot at this point.
Okay,
So
good.
She's captured by one of Fisk's guards.
Right.
This leaves the Doctor and Amy and Rory to meet up with Stott. They tell him that Tryst was behind the smuggling.
Yeah.
And then because Stott's got his little ID that says he's a special space agent looking for drugs, they're able to convince Fisk and Costa. Like Captain Zep.
He's so Captain Zep.
He's basically Captain Zep.
He kind of is, isn't he? Yeah.
Captain Zep. Super space detective.
See, nobody's got any idea who Captain Zep is anymore.
Mr. Stott.
You.
Super space detective.
A man of steel.
In animals. Sorry.
Captain Zep, the only sci-fi series cheaper than Nightmare of Eden, probably.
Yeah. It's going to be a musical episode, this, isn't it?
Yeah. I want to do Captain Scott. Captain Scott. It'd be great.
There's some to and fro, but Della escapes a guard who gets attacked by a mandrill, and she goes to confront Tryst.
Oh, who cares about Della?
Everybody cares about Della.
Who gives a fuck?
We all care about Della.
No, we don't.
I'm very concerned about her well-being.
Are you?
Well, the whole point of this is that
you shouldn't be.
The whole point is it gets Tryst to reveal that he won't need money for his expeditions. That's why he's been smuggling drugs.
She isn't concerned about you.
Didn't she get shot? Didn't she get shot in the chest?
She does get shot.
She gets shot in the chest and clutch her stomach.
Yeah, but she's only wounded. It's just a flesh wound.
Yeah.
After a while, she starts to feel better. So Tryst runs. He flees back to the Hecate. Well, in the meantime, the others round up the mandrills. They're forcing them back through the mist into the CET. And then the Doctor does some very clever stuff with the CET. And this is a very clever moment actually in the story where it actually extends the field of the CET.
Yes, it is.
Into the Hecate.
Great.
And then Tryst and Dimmond in the original find themselves in the CET looking out at everyone else, looking quite surprised. And,
Trapped.
That is lovely. That is absolutely lovely.
Yeah, it's a very nice.
It really is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then obviously Tryst comes out and tries to justify himself, his actions to the Doctor, who tells him just to go away.
You know, at the end, everyone talks about it. When he drops my arms, my legs, my everything, and just goes, "Go away, Tryst." And he's so quiet. He's so not giving Tryst anything. That's lovely. Yeah. That is lovely. And I don't think Matt Smith would do that bit better.
I think in 2010 they would make more of a big deal of the kind of the
They would.
It would be much longer. It wouldn't be, it would be emphasized more.
And it would be less. I love that. That's one of the, greatest moments of the Williams era to me. Just go away. It's small, it's tiny, less is more.
So we're kind of getting to the end of the story already.
Hang on, who's playing Tryst?
Didn't we see Mark Gatiss way
Mark
back
Gatiss.
in the
We
mist
did,
of time?
we did, yeah,
long ago. Yeah, we did, so Rory dies, and then the Doctor and Amy,
and the mandrills die as well.
And then the Doctor and Amy say goodbye to Della, who we're really concerned about. We really care about Della, and Stott.
Yeah.
And they reveal that they've got Tryst's recordings. They're going to release them all back on their original planets where they came from.
Yeah.
Environmental message at the end there.
Yeah.
And then that's the end. So
blimey.
I'm quite pleased to have got through that. I really struggled.
You did well.
It's a complex one. It really is.
You've all done very well. Ha ha ha.
That, by the way, is a reference to Buck Rogers season 2, in which Wilfred Hyde-White says that every single episode. I used to think Paul was lying about that, but then I watched them recently, and he's absolutely bloody right.
Hyde-White does not give a shit in that series.
I watched them not that long ago as well, and there's a sense with Wilfred Hyde-White that he's only ever giving a sort of vague approximation of what's in the script.
Wilfred Hyde-White is pissed out of his face.
He gives no fucks.
And has come on set and said, I've got these words to say. Ha, ha, ha. I'm picking up my check now and going home. Ha, ha, ha. And it's great. I love that. Yeah. You spent £20,000 on this robot with the extending head that doesn't work. Marvelous. I don't care.
It's the worst robot in sci-fi.
This is the joy of getting older.
Yes. Ensplinment. What do you think of Matt Smith's Nightmare of Eden then?
I would give that a 9 or 10. I think it's going to be great in the Matt Smith era.
Yeah, because it's essentially a good story. It's just the piss poor budget that's kind of
it's anything less down.
Gets at the reputation that it's got, really. So.
Yeah, I've always liked it. I liked it then. I like it now. It's a really good script. It's a really tight script. The Mandrels, all right. I've seen worse.
Yeah.
Mostly in the Haunted Animal.
There's worse in this season.
Yeah. And the Famazi.
And Erato.
Erato.
Merca.
Merca.
Magma
the
Beast.
Mandrels are not the worst by a long way.
No.
But yeah, it does look cheap.
Yeah.
It wouldn't look cheap with Matt Smith.
No.
But I suspect it would be a dumber story. With Matt Smith. In the modern day, you'd cut an awful lot of subtlety.
I'd give it 8 out of 10. I'm saying as well. Buzz didn't say 8 out of 10, but I would say 8 out of 10.
I went higher. Yeah, I went all out.
Anyway, should we choose the next?
Yeah, we probably should.
Shit! Yeah. Right, let me. Right, what's the number of these stories?
298.
298?
Yeah.
Wow. So, our doctor is Sylvester McCoy.
Again?
Yeah, Fredo, that's that's the horror of Time.
We could have used up his era.
And the story is 16.
16. Ooh.
16. So that's obviously horrible.
Yeah,
16 is.
I mean, that's season 2, isn't it? Right? Is that the website or something like that?
You ready for this?
Yeah.
Sylvester McCoy starring in The Chase.
Oh, that's fantastic.
That worked, and that's season 24, definitely.
Oh, I love that. Oh, my God.
That's definitely season 24.
Oh, blimey. Blimey. Hang on, but the implications. Oh, the implications. Oh, wow.
So,
should we try and should that be the one we should maybe try and get John on board for?
Maybe we should try, yeah.
Yes, sure.
With it being a McCoy.
And that will be episode 10.
Ooh.
Episode 10. Well,
our 10th anniversary.
Right. So, John Blum then?
Give him a call. Yeah.
Okay.
You have been listening to Time Ram. You can follow us on Twitter at #TimeRam, or follow the three of us directly at BazTimeRam, at Rupert Booth, and at PaulFerry8. Thank you to Ben Jones for our music, and Emily Weir for being slaughtered by mandrels. You can also follow us at our Facebook group or on our website at timeram.com. There's also an email address, info@timeram.com. And if you want to support the podcast, you can follow us on Patreon. Another way to support the show is to leave a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you download your podcast from.
And for what it's worth, for everyone who is following me on Twitter, can I follow this on Twitter? That'll be good.
Yeah.
I think. Oh. And if it isn't, it's not my fault. So, hey.
You weren't there.
I wasn't there. I'm not here. Who knows who I am?
Okay, so Sylvester McCoy in the chase. That should be interesting. Join us next time for that next exciting installment of Time Ram.